noon hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Man, I love this movie. Such a great song.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm hanging in there. Dude, it's just weird, Scotty. You get older and your body rejects things, right? Am I alone in this?
No, you're not. Absolutely not.
I overate. I'm not going to mention the establishment but don't. I overate. I'm not going to mention the establishment. And by the way, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it was great food.
Great people.
Food.
Yeah. But I did like the lobster mac and, the blue cheese encrusted. I did a wedge salad. I did the crab cakes. I did a cowboy ribeye.
Yes, sir.
I did the bread pudding. I did a full loaf of bread with the butter. But where I used to be able to just gamble.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can't gamble like that anymore.
No.
I feel jacked. It was.
And not in like a good way, jacked.
Yeah, not a good way jacked. Like a very bad way jacked. But I am starting a 48-hour fast. I'm doing a water fast to try to eliminate the body of
cleanse
everything that the damage that I did to it.
It sounds like you have eaten enough for 48 hours to cover you.
Hey, Lloyd, he doesn't need that.
Yeah, if I was a camel, you'd see the 2 humps on my back right now, completely jacked full of cowboy ribeye.
He needs our love and support right now.
I'm supporting, but he did some damage.
It's one of those, and I'm hoping I'm not speaking to people that have no idea what I'm talking about. It's one of those meals where you get done and you're in the car ride home and you're like, I just can't breathe very well.
Yeah.
Am I having a heart attack or?
Did Mama find you in the fetal position?
Is this angina? Fetal position. Am I in a bout of angina? I don't know what's going on with me. I wanted to just curl up.
Well, here's the thing. You have been, and this happens to me too, like when you're disciplined for so long and then you get a little loose, your body's like, hey, wait a minute. That we used to be able to handle that stuff. We can't handle that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you got to pick a lane, pal.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Now, the problem is, I think, look on the bright side. If your body was like, all right, that was good. Let's go round number 2 tomorrow. Then you're like, uh-oh, I might be in a bad spot.
Yeah.
But when your body's like, no, let's not do that again. Then I think, it's okay to get loose and then remember, okay, that's not how I want to be. And then you go from there.
Well, I apologize to the listeners if I'm off the game, Scotty, because I am way off the game. And, I got home and then things looked like when the government came in and quarantined E.T. Like, I got home and it was hazmat time. Like, it was bad. The whole thing, the scene, my wife was upset. She's like, you need to go somewhere else. It was just bad. I mean, it was... I'm struggling. So anybody out there that's getting old, like I am.
When Amanda's walking in a hazmat suit.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there pale white. You remember E.T.? That's what freaked me out. That whole part of E.T. when it felt like Elliot was dying too because E.T. was dying and it's such a weird.
Somehow they were connected, yeah.
Such a strange movie. I don't even know how you guys watched E.T. and felt okay about that. I haven't watched it since.
I don't think I've watched it since I was a kid. Now, it didn't mess me up like it messed you up. I just didn't think it was very good.
But that movie didn't just completely jack you up.
No.
Well, how about you,
So
Lloyd?
I'm the only one that actually loved E.T. I
You loved
E.T.
it?
Absolutely.
Have you watched it since your
Yes, I have.
initial watching?
Yeah, I have.
I have.
I told you it's what made me love Reese's Pieces.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. They did addict a whole generation to the Reese's Pieces.
Yeah. Well, I just, look, I watched a lot of horror movies as a kid. So, like, I saw Alien at a way too young of age. And so when I think of aliens, that's what I think of. I don't necessarily.
How young is young?
8 or 9.
Okay.
Did that jack you up pretty
Oh,
good?
yeah. So when I see E.T., I'm like, oh, look, he's friendly. He's not having a guy he's not ripping out of a guy's stomach and scurrying across the floor.
Yeah. See, I didn't watch Alien. The only time I saw anything rip out of a stomach and dance across the table was Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, my honey.
Yeah,
Hello,
and I'm
my
like,
darling.
I'm like, hey, that's kind of funny. I had no idea that it was an Aliens reference. But
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. We've got a lot of college football talk today. We are going to fill your bucket and get you ready for the kickoff of the college football season.
Yeah, look, we'll make your bucket overfloweth. We got a lot of great info, a lot of great insight. So let's get to it. Hans and Scotty right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Hans and Scotty G.
Let's go!
The lineup is set, and it's time to kick off the show with the biggest topic of the day. This is the starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is your starting lineup, all brought to you by our good friends at Mountainland Supply, where the pros go. Look, you need irrigation for your outside lawn. You need plumbing for inside. You need a little extra help with your plumbing after maybe you went to a restaurant and overdid it, and you got to clean those pipes out a little bit.
Oh, they'll help you.
Go to mountainland.com.
Shoot me that number.
It's mountainland.com to find a location near you.
Text it on over. Jeez.
It's like that dude stuck in that kids
the kids slide
kids slide
from Whole World News 2
Yeah.
days ago. Yeah, that's what we're doing with about 44 ounces of cowboy ribeye. Scotty, let me just tell you, I am excited for a lot of aspects of college football, but most excited maybe for Devon Dampier,
Yes.
just to see what he's able to do.
Absolutely.
So I was going back and looking at some film. I actually did some film review. I sent out a couple of different film reviews, and then I continued on my film review. I think we're underestimating. Actually, the hype and excitement for Devon Dampier has grown a lot, but I actually think that we're still underestimating what he could possibly do with this team in this setting at this university in this conference. And I kind of wanted to pick your brains.
Yeah.
I wanted to know. Just give me your thoughts on Devon Dampier. He throws for 2,768 yards, 12 touchdowns. He did have the 12 interceptions. He runs 155 carries for 1,166 yards, 19 touchdowns on the ground, which has to be some type of quarterback rushing record.
He had almost double the amount of rushing touchdowns that he had passing touchdowns.
Yes, 19 rushing touchdowns. I've never even heard of a quarterback anywhere close to that, rushing touchdowns. I would like to know, like even a Michael Vick in his heyday, was he anywhere close?
That's a good question.
To 19 rushing touchdowns? But Devon Dampier behind Michael Mokofisi, Spencer Fano, Jaron Kump, Caleb Lomu, Tanoa Tagiai, and a couple of backups. Devon Dampier with Wayshawn Parker, Nakari Rogers, some of these other running back options. Look, the University of Utah, they went out and they found some wide receivers. They brought in transfer wide receivers. So I don't think that Utah fans or really anybody has a true understanding and idea of what the receiving situation is going to look like overall. And then you add in whatever they're doing right now with Smith Snowden, whatever they're trying to do with some of these defensive players, you add those factors in. What are the possibilities of Devon Dampier?
So, as you mentioned, Devon Dampier, just over 2,700 yards last year, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Those interceptions are going to come back. They're going to come down. I do think he's going to throw probably more than Jason Beck would like, but I think he'll be in the 8 to 10 range on interceptions.
Okay.
I do think those touchdowns are going to increase to about 18 to 19. I don't know if he'll break 20 passing touchdowns on the season. But I do think, actually I do. I think he'll be like in the 20 to 22 range in touchdown passes. He'll be 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the season with about 3,400 yards passing. Rushing, though, I do not think he will be a 1,000-yard rusher like he was last year. And we've talked about this. If he's over 1,000 yards rushing, then that means that Utah did not have a good rushing attack this year. But he will have 650 yards rushing on the season. And he'll have nearly double-digit touchdowns on the ground because they'll use him in that way. He's going to be able to scramble and kind of create on his own in that way. I think that you will see Devon Dampier have a season where he's pushing probably 4,200 yards all-purpose on the season.
4,200?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put I was writing down some of these numbers. As we kind of take a look at Utah and their current roster, and Lloyd, I don't know how familiar you are with the receiving situation at the University of Utah, but when I was sitting down with Kyle Whittingham and we were going through the 60 and 60, was it Tobias Merriweather that he wanted on the list?
Yes.
You know, we didn't really get into Ryan Davis. Ryan Davis he started out at a Florida school and ended up at New Mexico, and he came with Jason Beck, correct?
Yes.
Then you got Tobias Merriweather, who I think started at Notre Dame, ended up at Cal, and has ended up at the University of Utah. You've got Creed Whitmore, who started out at Mississippi State. You've got Larry Simmons, who started out at Vanderbilt. You've got so many names that we just don't know a lot about, that I'm expecting big things out of. Like Ryan Davis had 54 receptions for 747 yards and 3 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
Tobias Merriweather got injured, so his games were extremely limited. But you've got a guy in Larry Simmons that had nearly 500 yards and a touchdown. You have a group of wide receivers that can be really good. And then we've talked about the transfer running backs. This offense could be really good. The problem is it's just such a hodgepodge. It's mix
really
and match.
hard to know about on the receiving end. And with what the offense, what Jason Beck's bringing in, like it's going to have a run-heavy feel to it and set up the pass.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
Yeah, no, everything's going to start with the run. And then that's why this team desperately needs to be pushing 4,000 yards rushing on the season. Definitely, or not 4,000, sorry. They need to be pushing, I would say, 3,000 yards on the ground. Like you could look at last year.
From their running backs, or you're saying?
Total. Quarterbacks, running backs, everything. Because last year, Utah as a team, and I think this is the biggest reason you can look at why they struggled. I mean, we could talk about the quarterbacks, but if Utah had a strong rushing attack last year, that takes so much pressure off of Isaac Wilson. And you could say, conversely, well, they couldn't run the ball because nobody respected the pass because of Isaac Wilson. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg kind of thing. But Utah only ran for 1,500 yards last year. I mean, I'm going all the way back to 2016. There is not a Kyle Whittingham team that went for under 2,000 yards. And they were all the way down to 1,500.
Yeah.
Even in the COVID year, they were right at 1,000 yards.
In what, 4 games?
In 4
5
games. Yeah. So you go back to 2021, they had 3,000 yards rushing with Tavian Thomas and Pledger and Mekhi Bernard. Cam Rising had 500 yards. I mean, and then in 22, they had 3,000 yards. 23, they had 2,300 yards. And then it just falls off the face of the earth last year.
Yeah.
And if Utah can get near, I'd say 25 to 3,000 yards rushing, they'll be a 9-win team.
Well, what's going to be interesting, Scotty, is, you're getting those rushing yards in the Pac-12, and I don't know if the Pac-12 defenses weren't as capable or equipped. Maybe they just didn't pay attention to it as much, and Utah just fully took advantage of the Pac-12 schemes and Pac-12 personnel and pushed them around a little bit. I don't think Big 12 defensive fronts and personnel, it's going to be just a little bit more difficult. They play such a physical brand. They practice against physical brands. They play against physical brands. And I've got to imagine to a certain extent when Big 12 teams saw a freshman quarterback have to take the reins, they were like, well, one thing they're not going to do is run on us. Well, when Big 12 teams say you're not going to run on us, they can do that. You have to be able to keep them honest. That's what makes me a little bit nervous about BYU.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're just going to come in there and throw punches and move bodies and LJ Martin's going to just be your hero and champion, it's not going to work that way. Bear Bachmeier is going to have some responsibilities. He's going to have to answer the bell. He's going to have to, because Utah couldn't. And it led to a losing season and no bowl appearance and a firing on or a mutual agreement to depart on the offensive side of the ball. Why? Because did you think you were going to come in and just push people around? Did you think you were just going to come in and own the physicality? Yeah, Utah's a physical brand of football, but in the last couple of years that I've been covering BYU in the Big 12 and calling their games and being on the road against a lot of these opponents, it's a physical brand. And they have built out different hybrid defenses that are very equipped to stop runs if they want to, or if they need to. And there's not something to keep them honest. So that's why, I'm going through the wide receivers. I'm going through Devon Dampier. I'm going through the receiving threats and Dallin Bentley and Otto Tia. I don't know what to expect from Otto Tia. I don't know what to expect from Jason Beck using tight ends at the University of Utah. I'm hoping it increases.
Yeah.
Because Dallin Bentley needs to be a focal point. Otto Tia could possibly be a focal point.
And that's interesting because I know Otto Tia is a wide receiver.
You called his game
as a wide receiver. Yeah. What he will do as a tight end, no clue whatsoever. The one thing I think is going to be interesting, and this is going to, if this translates, New Mexico. Now, remember, they didn't throw the ball a ton last year, but you had Nakari Rogers with 3 receptions, Javen Jacobs with 17, Eli Sanders, the other running back, with 15. So you got about 40 receptions from your running backs last year. So screenplays, outlets, things along those lines. It'll be interesting to see how much Devon Dampier uses his running backs in terms of the passing game.
Well, I do know, just knowing Marky Atawaya, the way I know Marky, former teammate of mine, coached at Washington State. Now he's the running backs coach at University of Utah, for those of you that don't know. So he's a BYU guy. He's at Utah, and he's done a great job. He brought Shehan Parker with him from Washington State. I actually looked at that this morning, Scotty, because I was looking at Shehan's usage out of the backfield in the receiving game. 15 receptions, 110 yards, and no touchdowns out of the backfield in that Washington State offense. Nakari Rogers, 4 receptions, 11 yards out of the backfield. Now, Nakari was in a deeper rotation at New Mexico. Shehan was more of the staple at Washington State, but Nakari Rogers, 14 catches out of the backfield. And then, there's a couple of other running back options out there. Bryce Duke, who's the transfer out of Old Dominion. He's got 13 targets. He had 60 yards out of the backfield out of Old Dominion. So I look at the running backs and their usage on their swings, and I do think it's very available. But did you say that it was used or was not used?
It felt like it was used if you add up all the running back catches. So 40 receptions out of 226 receptions, that's, about 25%. Not 25, about 22% of the completions went to running backs.
That's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think so.
Seems like it's a pretty big number. I would like to see it, but I just feel like a decision was made in an effort to catch some of these Big 12 defenses off, step up with the times of maybe college offense, roll the dice a little bit, maybe blindside a few people. And I feel like the way it's built out, I feel like it could be very, very productive. But again, it's like, you always talk about buying the groceries and cooking the dinner. It's like, okay, you've got all the groceries and I see you've got all your ingredients here, but what do you know about spices and what do you know about the cooking temperatures? And do you end up overcooking this? Is it going to dry out? I feel like all the ingredients are here for something really unique.
Yeah.
Like really, really unique.
And it doesn't seem like there's a lack of weapons.
Well,
it feels like there's a lot of ammunition.
It doesn't to me either. I feel like you've got a lot of experienced receivers that nobody knows a lot about because they're all transfers.
Yeah.
You got a New Mexico transfer, a Cal transfer, a Mississippi State transfer, a Vanderbilt transfer, a Southern Miss transfer, a Wyoming transfer. Am I right in saying Justin Stevenson was a Wyoming transfer?
I believe so.
The only receiver that I think's in the room that was a recruit and signed with Utah is Dadrin Zipper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a couple of others that are true freshmen that you've signed up, Bryson Baker, Junior Coughlin, and Dalen Camano. But, as far as production that's back in the receiving room, it's just a lot of unknowns. So I understand why Utah fans might be a little bit hesitant to jump into this and be like, oh, yeah, our offense is going to move. Because they're like, well, who's even going to catch the ball?
Yeah.
Who's even running routes? The only name that's really familiar to people is Down Bentley.
Well, I would say if you are a Utah fan and if you are a Utah receiver, I guess more importantly, I would tell you this. Devon Dampier is going to create some opportunities for you with his legs. So these wide receivers had better be ready to extend plays because Devon Dampier is going to extend a play. So
yeah,
that's the one thing that really jumped out to me watching Devon Dampier. The dude runs like crazy, but he is so electric looking down the field when he breaks the pocket. He's not a run-first guy when he breaks the pocket. He will extend passing plays as long as he possibly can. And so if I'm a receiver, I'm looking at all these opportunities, but there's going to be a lot of fire drills where the guy breaks the pocket, route didn't really result to much. Keep your head on a swivel and keep looking for opportunities to make a play because Devon Dampier is going to get you the ball.
Well, that applies to the offensive line too.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
If I can work an extra half count, just another split second, which I've been with offensive line coaches that'll do that, and they'll bring some of your scout defensive linemen over. They'll run some one-on-ones, and you'll be connected to this defensive lineman, and then the drill is to kind of sacrifice, do whatever you can, one final push, one final step to try to get in front of them to give that quarterback one split second extra to make something happen. And if you can do that with Devon Dampier, that's great. I just feel like it all will start with this offensive line. And this offensive line is athletic enough to get into these moving offenses that Jason Beck could have them get into. Really, this offensive line is versatile enough that if you wanted to run just a base pocket set offense, and put a Tom Brady style system in, where the quarterback can just sit there and look at 1, 2, and 3 progression and deliver, they could do that. They're capable of that. But if you want to make this an option RPO bootleg / naked style offense where you're asking guys to hurry up, no huddle, and you've got some interesting wrinkles offensively, this offensive line could do it. So I think things are going to be wild. I'll tell you this, I would hate to be UCLA's defensive coordinator now trying to figure out what Jason Beck's doing.
What are you doing?
Because nothing's coming out of camp. Everything is being closed. I mean, honestly, I don't want to give anyone any secrets, but so I break down every video that Utah and BYU puts out. Every camp video. Oh, here's the highlights. Here's the cut. I break down every single one of them. I go through them slow because you get little tips and little keys. Every one of Utah's highlight packages is a much more narrow view. It's a more closed-in view. You can't see who sprung the block as you're watching Wayshawn Parker hit the hole. They tighten it so tight that I can't see it.
Kyle was just that. He was asked about how the wide receiver battle and how it's going. He's just like, we got some guys.
We got some guys. Hey, he learned his lesson after
he's not messing around. No,
he did, and it's really tough because I always think of a defense coordinator. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go watch this Utah film, just take a look at who's doing what so that I can apply some things like, okay, well, where's the weak spots? So Scotty and I can have some conversations. And I'm watching the film, and I'm like, you can't make any reads, any hide, nothing, no tell off anything. Was it a play action look? Like, how did it even end up in Shehan Parker's hands? Or the ball is being delivered to Tobias Merriweather, and you're like, well, who threw it? I mean, you can't even see it. It's too tight. BYU's cuts oftentimes will include quarterback to receiver sets, and they'll give you some offensive line look, and so you get some real usage off of those videos. If I'm preparing for Utah right now, I don't know what the hell.
Yeah.
I would just be all over the place. I'm like, all right, guys, we got to prepare for about 30 different things, because if they decide Shehan Parker is the way they want to go, or they really want to try to push this thing down our throat, old school Utah style, we got to be ready for that. But if they're going to do this whole Devon Dampier extend plays and do wacky things, we got to be ready for that. So I think that's going to be helpful for them.
Hans Olsen, Scott Jeyarajah, right here on the Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Jeyarajah, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You know, you were talking about analyzing some of the promotional videos that Utah BYU send out.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, there's nothing you can learn from that. Oh
yeah.
Not really. I was doing a coach's show with a previous football coach at Utah State, and we were talking on the air, and I was asking him, all right, well, you know, they got this team you're playing, they do this and this, how do you combat that? He's like, I can't tell you that. I'm like, come on, this is a podunk radio show. Nobody's listening from Fresno or wherever. He's like, he goes, yeah, they are. I'm like, no, they're not. And this is all on the air. And he's like, I guarantee Coach so-and-so, and he talked about the head coach of the team he was playing. I guarantee he's listening right now.
Wow.
And I said, there is no way. And he's like, Coach, I know you're listening on that stream because you're a crazy man like I am. He goes, send me a text right now. And it was a stream, so it took a little minute. 10 minutes later, boom, text. Listening.
Coach sent it.
The head coach was listening to our dopey radio show because he's hoping for just one little teeny slip up that's going to give him some bit of a competitive edge.
The way I always look at it is if I'm doing it for just my study to call games or my study to do the Hans and Scotty show, if I'm doing it just for us, then coaches are doing that times 10. So whatever I'm trying to pick apart or trying to understand or trying to see, footsteps, strengths, hand placements, especially before this season even gets started because there's so many unknowns in the transfer world. Back a few years ago, I can look at video and I can kind of see, all right, well, this coordinator and this position coach uses this style, this technique, and this scheme with this individual. But how do they use that style and technique with a different position coach that has his own technique? Now they implement that scheme, but with a player that's now coming from New Mexico. How do you even get ready for that? And if you're UCLA, you can't afford that loss.
No.
You can't afford a loss to Utah out of the gates.
Nope.
And, I just taking a look at a guy like Tino Sinceri, who has taken that UCLA job as the offensive coordinator, and he's right now he is spinning. And I don't know what you've seen from Deshaun Foster, the coach for UCLA. Yeah. You talk about private.
Mixing it up with the media. He had a really nasty back and forth.
Nasty back and forth with the media because he felt like the media was getting a little bit too needy.
Mm-hmm.
And he shut them down at the gates. And if I'm Coach Sinceri, I'm like, thank you. If I'm Coach Malo, the defensive coordinator, I'm like, thank you. I much appreciated because I don't know what they're doing. I don't want them to know what we're doing because everything that I see, UCLA's got pretty much transfers across the board. The defensive front, all transfers. Every one of them.
Yeah.
They've got an Arkansas player, an Oregon player, an Oklahoma player, and a Michigan player. That's their starting front that are now starting for UCLA.
Yeah.
Their backup is a Michigan State kid, a Notre Dame kid, and a Duke kid. That's our world. That's the starting front for UCLA. So we talk about Jason Beck. If I'm Jason Beck, I'm not worried about what UCLA's defensive front is. Now, what I'm doing is taking Coach Malot's scheme, and I'm like, okay, he runs whatever, even fronts. I'm starting easy. I'm going, all right, he in first and second downs, anything that's 8 yards or more, he's giving me an odd front, or sorry, it would be more of an even front. Run downs, this is his tendency. So I'm breaking down Coach Malone. I'm not as worried about defensive personnel. What I'm thinking is, how can I catch this scheme the most off guard? Now, if the talent shows up and all of a sudden you're in the second quarter and you don't have a point on the board and you haven't got past the 50, now you're getting a call from the booth that's saying, hey, Keanu Williams is absolutely killing us in the middle. Keanu Williams is the transfer out of Oregon. Keanu Williams is killing us in the middle. What are we going to do about this? Well, we didn't even have any Oregon film on the kid. He was a backup. So I don't know what we're doing. Well, he continues to hit in the middle, and he's giving a two technique, and he's sparking across the center's face. What the hell are we going to do? Okay, well, let's roll this in. And then the game starts.
Yeah.
Then the game starts because, all right, well, now I'm starting to punch some holes through your personnel, and I know what you're trying to do, and this guy is a problem, so let's try to eliminate this guy. In the meantime, UCLA is going to be doing the same.
Yeah.
Down Bentley's got 3 receptions on us in the first quarter and a half. Well, we're not going to do that. So let's jam him up. We'll bracket him. We're going to stop him up. We'll go nickel. We'll take one of our hybrid nickels, or if we got to move a safety in, we're going to mismatch Dallin on size, and we're going to run him. All of a sudden, you need Otto Tia to start to do some work. It's, to me, like these early game plans and things, to that point, I'm doing everything times 10 that we're doing to prepare for a game. So yeah, if I'm a coach out there and I'm like, oh, Scott Gerard's running this coach's show and I've got an opportunity to just peek in. Oh, I'm sorry, what did he say? Oh, so Devon Dampier in day 2 was limping? Huh. Okay, that was something I don't think he meant to give.
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to tell my defensive coordinator. That's something my defensive coordinator is going to tell my 4 downs. They're going to tell my 3 linebackers, and we're all going to be aware of it. If we see him hobble at all, or if in the first quarter and a half he doesn't break the pocket, then we know there's something wrong. He's not breaking the pocket because he doesn't feel healthy. He's got a strained calf, something. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Well, we're going to collapse the pocket. If he can't run or doesn't want to run, then how can we leverage that against him? Man, this is football.
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand. They just don't get it. And I didn't either until I got in the NFL. You know, everything at the college level for me at BYU, it was pretty surface. When you jump in to the pro ranks where people are making millions of dollars to win and people are making millions of dollars to beat you, all of a sudden it just gets so sticky. Well, that's where we're at now with college football. So I take my knowledge of pro football, and that's not what I look at college football and I say, that's what they're doing. Because that's college football. Transfer portals, free agency, coaches are in the $5 to $8 million range. Assistant coaches are making 1.2 to 1.4 on a 2-year contract. You see, Scotty, it's the NFL of old is what we're doing in college football.
Yeah, it's got to be a nightmare to prepare for some of these teams because I can't remember if it was Nick Howell or Kevin McGivern when we were up in Logan, but I asked one of them, you know, usually you have your scheme and you recruit to your scheme. Well, now it's just a free-for-all. You got to go get the best players available, and then you adjust your scheme to those guys. So if I'm a guy that's like, well, I know Jason Beck's the new coordinator at Utah, and he likes to do this, 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 and this. That's his system. Well, not necessarily the case because Utah's out there trying to get every good player they possibly can. And they're like, well, guess what? We're maybe a little light at running back, but we have this stud wide receiver, so we're going to adjust our system to focus him. So you can't stereotype a coordinator anymore because he's not static in his scheme.
Very much not the case because I guarantee you when Jason Beck pulled up to the offices, he was greeted by Mark Yatawaya from a different university, and he was greeted by Jim Harding at that university, and they all sat down and like, all right, what are we going to do collectively? Now, if they are who I think they are, they're going to keep it fresh week in, week out because Jim Harding does not do what Jason Beck does. But I could see Jason Beck's influence on week 1, and if I see Jim Harding's influence on week 2, then that makes me, as a week 3 opponent, which is, I think, Wyoming.
Yeah.
That makes me, as a week 3 opponent, be like, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. And then you give them something a little bit different in week 3. All right, well, your big game against Texas Tech, which is your Big 12 lead out for the University of Utah. This is your debut of Jason Beck in the Big 12. Now I'm looking at UCLA. Man, they beat a Big 10 team, and it was really wonky. They did it defensively. They held them to 12, 13 points, and they were able to put up 21 points, but it was weird. And then against Cal Poly, holy cow, it was a 48-point beatdown. It was mostly done on the ground from 2 transfer running backs. And then if I'm Wyoming, it was a better mix. They really used Dampier on the outside. If you're Texas Tech, what the hell are you doing? You're like, well, what are they doing? Are they running Jim Harding stuff? Is this all Jason Beck influence? Well, does it even matter? Because their offensive line is melting people into the ground. So, my brain gets going this time of year because I just don't know the talent. I don't know the schemes. So many different things with transfer portal, and I'm trying to get ready for a basic call.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get ready for a FCS. I don't even are they JUCO FCS? I don't even know what they are. It's
Portland State.
I don't know what the hell they are. I mean, what was it? What is that, West Coast Conference? Who the hell knows?
It's not Salt Lake Community College.
It's the Big Sky. This isn't intramurals, brother.
You get 3 days in the summer. You get 4 days during the winter.
Oh, man. 12:51, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Shehan Jeyarajah is going to join us at 1:05. Steve Bartle at 2:05. Continuing talk about the Utes, Big 12, college football is coming up. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's Division I football. It's the Big 12. It ain't intramurals. You got 2 weeks after finals. You got a week of July 4th, and you got a week before camp starts. That's a month. That's probably more vacation than you guys get. And we're a little bummed out that we don't get 3 weeks. Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals.
Any part of the show, every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What you may have missed. What's interesting is the evolution of the NFL. You never saw trades this kind of time of year, but now we're seeing them pop up all over the place. And former Ute, Devon Dampier, is now out of Denver and on his way to New Orleans to play for the Saints. And they actually got a 4th-round pick out of him, which is, for a guy that's only made 7 starts, is pretty impressive. But also, the fact is, the guy, I really think Devon Dampier has got a chance to be a superstar in the league. And a guy that's a 1,000-yard receiver, I really think he's got the opportunity. I just feel bad now that he's stuck in the Siberia of the NFL when it comes to quarterbacks, because they got nothing in New Orleans this year.
So help me understand this.
Spencer Rattler is going to be passing to him.
So you've got Cortland Sutton and you've got Mims.
Yeah.
Who are the other? Do they just feel like they've got too much?
Franklin, the old Oregon guy that they
Troy
like.
Franklin.
Although I would take Vele over Franklin any day of the week. And my son and I, we have arguments all the time because he likes Franklin. I like Vele. And I think Franklin can't. You're going to get 2 or 3 really quality drops from him every game, it seems like. And then they took a rookie that's been well in camp. So I think that's why they felt like they could part with Vele. But not a huge fan of that trade for Denver. But they get a solid pick, and if New Orleans is as bad as we all anticipate that they're going to be, then that's probably almost a 3rd-round pick.
Have you heard anything out of Broncos camp about R.J. Harvey?
Yeah, he looks great.
Really, they like him?
In just preseason. Yeah, I think he's your day 1 starter at running back.
R.J.'s so good. They picked up Audric Estime, too.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame kid. So
they've got a glut of running backs. All of them pretty good.
Yeah.
Harvey's got a chance to be really good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just strange to me. I kind of felt like Devon was going to be
I did too.
a key piece for Bo Nix and that wide receiving set. So a fourth-round pick.
Yeah.
You're moving for a fourth-round pick. You're moving for a future hope
Yep.
when you've got a sure thing.
I agree.
How do you feel about it?
Not a fan.
Yeah, I kind of felt like, you want to give Bo Nix as many valuable targets as you can give him, and to move one out for a future pick is...
That team is so loaded. They'll be fine. They're loaded. They're
Lloyd,
loaded at wide receiver.
You know, say it, Lloyd. If they don't.
If I'm telling you, if they don't win it all,
Oh, okay. Now that's a little
that is
crazy.
a
Win it all.
major,
I mean,
major
maybe
disappointment.
if they don't make the AFC Championship game, maybe that's a disappointment.
Did you say if they don't win it all?
Yeah. All right. Coming up, Shehan Jeyarajah is going to join us here in just a moment, right here on The Zone.
Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah. We've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. College football gets underway this weekend. Farmageddon in Dublin, Ireland. Iowa State, Kansas State. Best game of the weekend, and then everything, all hell breaks loose coming up next week for Utah, BYU, and Utah State. Shehan Jeyarajah is going to join us coming up here in just a moment. CBS Sports, one of the best when it comes to breaking down college football. Fired up to chat with him and get his thoughts on the early storylines going forward as well. He's got a piece right now at CBS Sports. And the headline, BYU makes the right choice in going with Bear Bachmeier.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk to him about that, get his thoughts as to why he feels like that was the right move to make for BYU in going with the true freshman. As Bear Bachmeier will be the starter for the Cougars. All right, joining us right now, it is Shehan Jeyarajah. Shehan, how you doing, man?
Hey, Shehan.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to catch up with you. So you feel like, based on the latest story you got up on CBS Sports, that BYU made the right call in going with Bear Bachmeier?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think that so much of the time in the Big 12, it comes down to being able to be dynamic on offense and being able to play make on offense. And when I looked at the other options that were returning for BYU, I just didn't feel like they had that kind of upside. But going with Bear Bachmeier, even though it does come with risks, I think is definitely worth that upside. I mean, you look at this roster right now, defensively, we know what they're going to be. They're tremendous at linebacker. They've got talent in the back end. And they did such a decent job of upgrading the receiver position, too. I'm glad that they're going to try and run with the quarterback who maybe gets them a chance to be dynamic at that position.
Shehan, I'm just interested from a point of view from a kind of Utah sports consumption. When you guys are putting out pieces and you're writing stories about the Big 12, what kind of interaction, what kind of clicks and reads do you get from the Utah fan base? And when I say Utah fan base, sports fans in the state of Utah, BYU or Utah, does it feel a little bit like more traffic than others? Is it the most? Where does that kind of sit for you as a national writer?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely notable whenever we write about BYU and Utah. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of conversation about it. I know that, with BYU and Utah stuff, it gets great traction for me on social media. So they're definitely, I mean, look, there's no question about it, right? These are engaged fan bases. I will say, of course, I got the chance to write about BYU during a 5-7 and Utah during a 5-7. And yeah, I mean, obviously nobody's quite as happy during those times, but I think there's a lot of excitement around the state right now with the way that people are investing, with the potential upside for these seasons. And, I'm glad that we get an opportunity at CBS Sports to serve that really hungry fan base.
You still feel good about Texas Tech, even with the loss at running back?
Yeah, it's definitely a damper for me. For people who don't know, Quentin Joyner going down at running back. He was projected to be their running back one coming over from USC. And I will say this, I think that Quentin Joyner was their best opportunity to have a true all-conference type running back. And I think that right now, with a couple of true sophomores in the lineup, they're more going to be fighting to be above average at the position. And when you look at Texas Tech this year, like, I think they really will want to try to be dynamic in the running game. I mean, so much of this past year was trying to build up the offensive line so that they'd have the ability to bulldoze teams in a different way than they have in the past. So losing a player who averaged more than 7 yards a carry last year at USC, I think is definitely a loss. They have some guys that they feel good about, but the bigger thing is probably that now they only have, two, kind of three scholarship running backs left on the roster. So they're going to have to manage those guys and make sure they stay healthy.
Who's the best running back in the Big 12 this year?
I think heading into the year, it's Bryson Washington at Baylor. He was a breakout player in the second half of last season, was a redshirt freshman who finished with more than 1,000 yards on the ground. And, he doesn't have kind of a traditional running back build. He's a bit lankier. He's a skinnier guy, relatively speaking, but he still runs very, very physical. He has a great long stride. And again, in the second half of the year, he was averaging something like 140 yards per game during their 6-game winning streak. So I think he deserves to come in as that number one guy. But, I look around, there's a lot of intriguing backs who have the potential to break out. I think of like a Jaheim White at West Virginia. I think that he's going to be a tremendous fit for that offense. I'll be curious to see if LJ Martin can stay healthy. I'm really excited about his potential. I think he gives them the chance to be a little different. And there's kind of a collection of guys down at Arizona State who I think have a chance to be special. Kanye Yuta was an 1,100-yard rusher for Army last year. Raleek Brown is a former 5-star who missed last year with injury. So there's a lot of good options, I think, at the position. But Bryson Washington right now is my number one.
Shehan Jeyarajah joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. When you look at a true freshman starting at quarterback at BYU, first time they've ever started the season with a true freshman. Cal's doing the same thing. You'll see a handful of others. Is the day and age of, well, you can't trust a kid, he's a true freshman, you can't throw him to the wolves, is that time behind us?
Well, I think that there's a couple of factors to this, right? One, I mean, we're looking at sort of the timelines of quarterback development, and it's harder to keep guys in the pipe as long as possible. And I mean that in two ways. One, of course, when you've got a talented young player, they want to get on the field. But I think maybe even more importantly, like the days of guys just waiting 3 years before starting are kind of gone. And so, I don't even think that, for example, it's just a QB1 situation. It's that QB2 is typically younger than what you've seen in previous years. I think that actually I give a lot of credit to BYU and Kalani Sitake for bringing in two guys in McKay Hillstead and Trayson Borgett last year, who, of course, had some collegiate experience. And they bring in Gary Bohannon as well. Well, again, that's just not super common right now. If you don't have an active quarterback battle, for example, it's just you're probably playing a young guy right behind it. Think of a situation like Drew Aller at Penn State, where he decides to come back for his senior season, and so Bo Pribula leaves, and now you've got only young guys there behind him, guys that they're excited about, but ones who haven't played necessarily. So I think that changes the timelines a little bit and allows for some openings for guys to get into the mix. And I think the other thing too is that we were in such an age of transfer quarterbacks that I think is coming to a close now because, one, the 5th and 6th year guys are kind of cycling out of the system, so you can't just bring in a guy who's thrown for 6,000 yards. And two, I think that we're starting to get to a point as well where just the quality of player who's transferring is much lower. There was a time where, where the very big boys could get maybe any other Power 4 quarterback that they wanted from the middle or lower class. Well, now all of a sudden, starting quarterbacks at ACC schools are making $1.5 million. And I think that, it's just the idea of going out and taking whoever you want. Like, for example, Tennessee tried to do in some ways. It's just off the table in a different kind of way. And I think that creates opportunities for high school kids to maybe fight more for starting jobs heading forward.
So, Shehan, one thing that Scotty and I have witnessed over 20 years of sports radio here in the state of Utah is a lot of the unpredictable and, things like USC pulling out of the Pac-12 and things falling apart. It always feels like things can be shaky. And with the Big 12, we've seen an infusion of money. Kansas came up with the $300 million. Texas Tech is throwing money around. BYU's starting to really throw money around. As you look at this House versus NCAA settlement, and the $20.5 million that could be paid out, are you getting the feel that the Big 12 is very stable? Are you getting the feel that the Big 12 is going to be paying out the $20.5? And if not, who are some of the teams that are lagging behind?
So I would say that this time next year, I think that all 16 teams will be paying out the full rev share number. Right now, I think that it's especially outside of BYU, of course, the teams transitioning up from the G5 who are only receiving a partial payment. Those are the ones probably having the most trouble. I know Houston is still working up to that number, for example. I'd imagine that UCF and Cincinnati are still fighting to get to that number as well. But they also, their coaches told me they feel like they're competitive from a monetary perspective. So this is just me spitball. I'm sure that they're at 15 plus million at least this year as an athletic department, and they expect to be at 20 next year. So I think that this does create a lot of opportunity because, there are obviously going to be programs. I figure if you're the starting quarterback at Alabama, you're probably going to have access to, whether it's NIL deals or whatever else. Like you're going to have access to probably at times a little extra money. But it's kind of what I spoke about, too, with quarterbacks staying put. Like, for example, if Bear Bachmeier is really good this year, BYU is going to be able to take care of him financially and monetarily. And I think that's a really good situation for BYU to be in. And I look around the Big 12 right now. I mean, there were 12 quarterbacks, including Jake Retzlaff, who were projected to come back in 2025, and all 12 of them ultimately stayed at their spots until Jake's transfer. And so the fact that so many of them were sought after and teams were still able to retain their top talent says a lot, I think, about the positioning of the Big 12. And the biggest thing that I'll say, too, is look, when we're talking pure, let's say viewership, fan bases, giant alumni bases, huge, again, the Big 12 isn't going to necessarily win that kind of battle. That's why Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC now. But if this is a question of money and fervency, the Big 12 can definitely compete on that front. That's what Texas Tech is realizing. That's what BYU is realizing. That's what Baylor and TCU are realizing. They have access to people who care a lot and can definitely come up with the sum of money needed to be competitive. So I do think that this is moving into more of a positive world for the Big 12. And, I need to check the number now because it might have changed. But at least, maybe a couple weeks ago, out of the top 100 players in the class of 2026, 8 of them were committed to Big 12 schools. And in 2025, that number was 2.
So I have not done the reading on this that I probably should because it's like I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. But is this SCORE Act, do you feel like it's got legs?
I think it does. There is legitimate bipartisan support. I think that's one big part of it. I think the other piece, too, is that when this goes to the Senate, I expect, which obviously just to get to the bare minimum of this, right, like you need 60 total votes to override the filibuster. And so I think that there's a really decent chance that it gets adjusted a little bit in the Senate, but that it is still a workable version that potentially could get the support of people on both the Republican and Democratic side of the aisle. I mean, I've heard that there are 3 senators, at least on the Democratic side, who have sort of engaged with this bill and have some optimism that they can create something that works. So I do think that it's very much on the table. Now, look, you obviously still have to get this through the House and through the Senate and get it signed by the president. That's still a very, very difficult thing to do. But this is as far as we've come really at all, right? I mean, we haven't had a bill go this far before. And so I do think that we're in better shape than we've probably been in a little while to make it happen.
So, Shehan, what are the odds that we see 2 teams out of the Big 12 in the college football playoffs this year?
It's a really interesting question. I was actually asked for the first time yesterday, and I think that there's a couple things that need to happen. One, I think that you need some of the teams that have a little bit of credibility to be there at the end. I think of, Arizona State, if BYU is able to step up, obviously Texas Tech, Kansas State, even a team like Baylor maybe. Like, you need some of those teams to be top of mind. One, because they come in with some credibility, which will help them. But two, because I think that some of them play big-time non-conference matchups that you really want them to have a chance to win. The other thing, too, is that I think that you need some teams to separate. Probably the worst thing for the Big 12 last year was that 4 teams ultimately tied at 7-2 at the top, and it was down to tiebreakers to decide who was going to make the Big 12 title game. That's not a position that I think the league can afford to be in. I think you need to afford to be more in a position like what Clemson versus SMU was last year, where you have a one-loss team who's undefeated in conference versus maybe a 2-loss team. Obviously, even more ideally, a 1-loss team. So I think you need those teams to separate. I think that's much more on the table, though, in 2025 than it was in 2024. I think of, again, I think that maybe you have a team like Texas Tech or Kansas State separate. I think Arizona State, again, if they go and win the Big 12 again, I think they're going to be ranked very, very highly. But you need some things to go right, but I think there's absolutely a pathway for it to happen.
So, I call games for Utah State, and it looks like the former number 1 overall recruit, Malachi Nelson, will get the start for UTEP in that first game against Utah State. The kid's had a heck of a journey, starting at USC and supposed to be the heir apparent of Caleb Williams, then to Boise State, where he loses the job to Maddox Madsen, and now on to UTEP. What can we expect? What can Aggie fans expect from this guy?
Yeah. I mean, crazy story. And look, heading into the offseason, I think that a lot of people around El Paso kind of thought that Skylar Locklear, the incumbent, would actually have a chance to hold on to that job. He's a really good player as well. But I think that what Malachi Nelson gives them more than anything else is he gives them one of the livest arms that they've had in El Paso in a very long time. I think that he is somebody who, from what I've heard, struggled to keep on weight at Boise State, just struggled to deal with some of the physical rigor. And that's going to be a little bit less of a problem, I think, in Conference USA and at UT El Paso. They've got an interesting receiving core. I think when you think of Scotty Walden, their coach, he loves to go fast and he loves to be aggressive. And I think that that's going to be a really good fit for Malachi Nelson's skill set. And so when Utah State watches this team, expect a team that's going to come at you with a lot of pace, with a lot of aggressiveness. They're not going to be afraid to go downfield. They're not going to be afraid of making mistakes. They're just going to come after you. And I think that that's going to make it a really fun opening matchup for both of these teams.
Give me your thoughts on Colorado.
This is the first time under Deion Sanders that, one, he hasn't had his sons since the pandemic season. But two, this is the first year that are going to kind of look like a normal football team, I think, because they bring back a lot of pieces on defense, but they're once again revamping their offensive line. They're bringing in 2 new quarterbacks in Caden Salter and Julian Lewis. They've got, I think, a really good receiving core, but they're not going to be able to run the ball again, I think, this year, and they don't have a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter who can maybe bail them out. So I think that this is going to be a big-time growing process for them. I expect them to be back in a bowl game, but they're going to have to figure out what their offensive identity is heading forward, because they're used to almost being able to play playground ball with some of the receivers and quarterbacks that they had. That's not going to be the case with a guy like Caden Salter back there, who's very mobile, but he's much more of a designed runner than he is a scrambler.
Do you think the NCAA got it right with Michigan? Obviously the NCAA is pretty neutered in what they can do these days. So is that the best they could do and to go after Michigan, or did they leave some other opportunities on the table?
I do like the precedent of not vacating games, of not, because the games happened. If they said that they vacated the national title, nobody cares. Everybody knows before it was reinstated that Reggie Bush won the Heisman Trophy. Everybody knows that Louisville won a basketball championship. I don't love that personally, so I am kind of generally happy that they've moved away from it. I think that this is sort of an interesting precedent again, because this is a very rich program that is able. Again, they're going to be fined essentially between $20 and $30 million, and they're going to be able to come up with that money. There's no doubt about that. But I do also think that in an era where you're directly compensating players, when you're pulling big amounts of money out of their budget, I do think that that is a legitimate punishment. Now, on the field, you probably don't see the difference. It's something that really applies more behind the scenes, but I think it's a really serious punishment. I mean, you start talking about, $20 to $30 million. That's basically subtracting like ULM's athletic department from the University of Michigan. And, so I do think that it is a legitimate punishment. I do think it's going to be interesting to monitor over the next couple of years with the situations at Tennessee and Michigan. Does this end up being actual consequence for it? But, so I kind of go back and forth on it. I think that this is a serious punishment that probably is worthy, and I do like that they don't necessarily punish the guys who are on campus right now. But also, if you had asked Michigan, would you pay $20 million to win a national championship? Obviously, they take that trade-off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the documentary on the kid? I mean, I actually came away pretty impressed with the amount of work he did to put all that stuff together.
He's a pretty smart kid.
I did not, but I will say this. I did not go to law school. I would advise a client to not give a tell-all documentary while you are still under active investigation.
I can't imagine Michigan was overly pleased with that.
No, and it was the Netflix documentary itself was cited multiple times in the NCAA's report. So again, all's well for him that ends well, but that was a ballsy move.
Yeah, for sure.
Great documentary.
Shehan, appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
There he is, Shehan Jeyarajah, CBS Sports, one of our favorites. I'm telling you, Hans, if you come into and you watch a ton of documentaries. And sometimes you come in with a preconceived notion of somebody, and then afterwards you're like, well, that Connor Stallions, I came away from that documentary thinking, if I have a business and I want somebody to come in and tell me, okay, you're susceptible to this, this is what we can do to go after a competitor, those are the kind of guys I want on my team, actually. Because that dude, the amount of work and effort and organization and passion that he had to pull that scheme off was actually really impressive.
It's insightful and pretty incredible. The documentary is so good. And, I walked away thinking that guy's ingenious.
Yeah.
And he is a valuable asset to somebody somewhere. Was there any legal proceedings for him?
No, I don't think so.
So nothing illegal, no charges handed down?
No, I don't think he did anything illegal.
He was just spying.
Yeah.
Just cracking codes.
He's just watching guys on TV, going to games, and observing. He was not privy to any information that wasn't accessible to everybody else. He just knew how to put it all together.
Well, you know that it's not going to stop there.
No.
And the penalties that have been handed down, they're not stopping anybody. If somebody can get an advantage and go win a championship like Michigan did, they're going to do it.
They're going to do it. Yep. All right, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is your top 60 and 60 watch list as Hans and Scotty get you ready for the start of the 2025 college football season by highlighting the most influential players on their team for the upcoming season. And now,
Get the call, baby! Come on, let's go!
here's today's newest addition to the watch list.
It is your top 60 and 60 watch list right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's been a while since an Aggie has made the list, so let's go up north and talk about a big offensive lineman.
George Miley really liked the leadership and physical presence, transfer from Baylor. Brother Bo plays on our team here. George plays guard. Interiorly, he's physical, he's tough, he's smart. Relentless worker, absolute team leader, and adds a physical and combative presence there that we need as an identity to our team.
There's Bronco Mendenhall breaking down George Miley, who will be one of the anchors of the offensive line. He and Trey Anderson, hey, they've got their numbers. There's still a few more players that are waiting on numbers of a Utah State. But George Miley is expected to carry a big role for this team. And I'm excited to see how this offensive line comes together. I don't think it's a deep group, but I do think the starting five should be good enough to be able to get done what Utah State needs done this year. But they have to keep Bryson Barnes upright this year. That is your number one priority, is keep that man healthy at all costs. There's just not a lot of depth behind him right now. And so, Bryson Barnes, if you are a Aggie fan, I'd say before every meal and your nighttime prayers, probably give a little shout out. Say, like, can we please keep Bryson healthy this year? Because that is going to be ultimately what's important to this team.
Well, I think that it seems like, I don't know, maybe you've heard something that they've moved former BYU offensive lineman Jake Eichhorn to the center position.
Yeah.
And they've been playing him there.
Yep.
So I think Jake Eichhorn is going to be a great addition. Started his career at Weber State, moved over to BYU, and made a decision to transfer up to Logan to see if he could get on the field a little more quickly. So Trey Anderson, George Miley, Jake Eichhorn. I'm expecting Matua Poaka. Is he the brother?
He is the brother, of Holly.
And then potentially Jared Pele.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a freshman. You know, it's just funny to look at the depth chart.
Is that Finkel and Eichhorn?
No.
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
And it's not Eichhorn. But it's just funny to look at the depth chart. So Sam Brousseau is a freshman who he committed to Utah State the same time Rock did. I know that he's working himself into the depth chart. I'd love to see him play too. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
And hasn't been playing football a long time, but he's going to be good.
Is he your brother?
He is a cousin.
Oh, cousin. Okay.
To the
Brousseau's.
To the other Brousseaus. To the Lehigh Brousseaus.
Yeah.
He's a cousin.
Okay.
And he's like 6'8". Have you seen this kid?
I saw his measurements. I haven't seen him.
Yeah. He's like 6'8", probably 290, 295.
There we go.
It's a big kid, but I do feel like the Utah State offensive line is coming together. You know, Scotty mentioned Trey Anderson. He's a Pitt transfer. George Miley is a Baylor transfer. Jake Eichhorn's a BYU transfer. These are Power 4 committed and transferred players that, you know, really want to take the jump. So I'm hoping this O-line can come together.
And you've spent a lot of time through Rock's recruitment with the O-line coach, and you're a big fan of his.
I am. He's extremely intelligent, and I just hope that he and Kevin McGivern, that's where it always comes in. It's like, how well does an offensive line coach communicate and connect to an offensive coordinator? Does he feel empowered or heard enough that in a meeting he can say, I understand what you want to do there, but that's not possible. So I don't even know why you're drawing it up that way. We can't get the we can't possibly get the reach block in that situation. Or, hey, can we just change a wrinkle of this? I like the play and I like the way you kind of got it, but can we change the blocking wrinkle in this? I'm hoping that they've got that kind of relationship that they can work on those things.
Mm-hmm. All right, time for your good, the bad, the ugly. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
Your good, your bad, the ugly, all brought to you by RGS Exteriors and Construction. We'll be out there tomorrow with Tim and the crew, obsessed with quality results. Make sure to give them a holler right now. All right, Hans, let's start with the good.
So we had that dinner last night.
Yeah.
And one of the people that won the opportunity to come eat that dinner with us told me a crazy story. Do you have any recollection of a rat being thrown on a Jazz court in front of Karl Malone, and Karl Malone kicking the rat?
No, I've never heard this story.
Lloyd, did you ever hear or remember seeing this?
About Malone kicking a rat?
Karl Malone, a rat coming out onto the basketball court and Karl Malone kicking it.
So
I've seen the Manu Ginobili bat.
So the rat was still alive?
No.
Okay, somebody found a dead rat, threw it out on the court, and Karl kicked it.
Yes. The guy that did that was part of the meal last night.
Whoa.
Yeah, the guy that actually did it. There's going to be a lot of Jazz fans out there that remember this. I'm sure you can Google it and find it. Karl Malone kicks rat. But the guy that actually put this together as a young teenager, a very young teenager, he and a couple of buddies got some tickets to a Jazz game.
Wow, this wasn't that long ago. December 28, 2002, was Jazz against the Philadelphia 76ers interrupted briefly when a rat was thrown on the court. Karl Malone was about to take his second of 2 free throws. 4:13 left in the second quarter when the rat landed on the court. It was thrown from the top of the lower deck and skidded to a stop at Malone's feet. Malone took a step back while Scott Padgett walked over and kicked the rat under the front row. This says Scott Padgett did it, not Karl Malone.
So Karl Malone first, because I've seen the video, he kicks it with his foot at the free throw line, and then Padgett boots it all the way across the court and off the court.
Utah assistant trainer Terry Clark scooped up the rodent in a towel and disposed of it.
So you'd never heard of this? I hadn't heard of it either.
All right, here we go. The person responsible for throwing the rat ran from the arena, went across the street to a shopping complex where he eluded security guards.
Yeah, and it was here at the Gateway.
Yeah.
And it's in the building. You know where the skybox was?
Yeah. Okay.
So it was whatever was there.
So this is the guy.
This is the guy. And he and his buddies, they're just teenagers, hatched a plan. What they wanted to do was release a live rat on the court at this game. So they went to a...
This guy's owning it. Well, yeah. I guess, it was 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
I think
so
good.
They went to a little pet store, and they got a full-size rat and put him in a box, and he hid it in the arm sleeve of his coat, and they got into the game. His 2 buddies kind of scouted out the area, and the rat ended up chewing through the box and gets into his coat, so he had to run into the bathroom. Anyways, the whole thing's kind of like spills out where he ends up chucking the rat, and it just happened to hit the court and slide right in front of Karl. And he took off, and a security guard chased him for a good amount of time. But anyways, this story somehow evaded me. He showed me the video, and then he showed me something even better. You've known DJ a lot of years. DJ put together a fake report, like a fake news report about best throws all time, just to get this guy. And they sent this, David James Channel 2 broadcast going through the best throws all time using film analysis, and included the film of the rat being launched. And it was like, this is the best throw all time. Wins number 1. DJ was a part of the whole thing. He still has the broadcast and everything. This guy that did it.
Wow.
And I asked him, was there ever any repercussions? And he said, nope. Never got caught. Never got talked to. Nobody ever figured it out.
So this is a pride thing for him. Like there's a lot of times we look back on our past and we're like, shouldn't have done that. I think he's like, hell yeah, I did that.
I chucked a rat down on a court. Karl Malone kicked it, and I got away with it. Yeah. You couldn't get away with anything like that now.
Oh, geez,
all the security film, and
you'd be banned.
Yeah.
Banned.
Oh, yeah.
They would have you, and PETA would have you, and not only would you be banned, you would be,
They'd find out where you're working, get you fired.
Oh. Nowadays.
Nobody can throw a rat anymore. What happened to good old rat tossing?
Man. There was a time.
This to troll our guy Scott Padgett?
Yeah, why? What was the purpose of this? Like, was he trying to make a statement or?
Just wanted to see a live rat out on a basketball court.
Because Scott Padgett always had kind of a little rat type look to him.
Did he?
Yeah. He had these big ears.
I couldn't stand Scott Padgett.
No, this guy literally, his whole goal was just to put he wanted to see a live rat running out on the court.
And a bunch of security guards trying to chase it.
Chase it.
There's more to this story that you need to tell me during the break. No. Like how? Well, never mind.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll tell you at least what I found out from him. But I'm sure that there's people driving around that remember this, right?
I have to. I don't remember it. I wasn't doing radio. I moved down here a couple of years after that, so I wasn't here for that. Lloyd, you don't remember
I lived here, and no, I don't quite remember it.
Wild. Hey, really quick, I do want to get to this bad.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now the bad.
I don't know how stuff like this happens, but Boston Celtics superstar Jaylen Brown, his dad, Marcellus Brown, who was a boxer.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody remembers Marcellus Brown. He's 33-18-1, great boxer, 25 knockouts, boxed for a long time. It kind of boxed when I was a big boxing fan. Well, apparently, according to Las Vegas Metro Police, He got into an argument over a parking spot and ended up pulling a knife and plunging it into the stomach of this person he was arguing with. So he has been arrested for attempted murder after stabbing a youth football coach in the stomach over this parking spot. Wow. So the coach was rushed to a nearby hospital, Scotty. It required surgery, according to reports. His life has been saved. The most recent report that I got, they didn't know what current condition he was in. But in an argument, Jaylen Brown's dad, who was an accomplished athlete himself, Marcellus Brown, decides to plunge a knife into somebody.
Stabbed a dude. And he's a boxer. He could have just broke the jaw. Yeah.
Break the jaw, you get an assault charge, it's a fine, you're going to be out, maybe some litigation, you'll pay a medical bill.
Yeah.
This one, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
And potentially for a
long time.
Portion of the remainder of your life.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And now from what I understand, and I think you might know more about this than me, but I think that they're estranged. I don't think that they're really close.
I don't, but it wouldn't surprise me.
But still, if you're Jaylen Brown, one of the greatest basketball players in the game right now, one of the top, 10?
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
If you're Jaylen Brown, I don't even care if you're estranged. Do you just put it out there like I have nothing to do with it? Because people are going to ask you.
We have not talked in 2 years. We have no interaction whatsoever. And me and my family's thoughts are with the victim in this situation.
That's it.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah, that's how I cut it off at the pass. I wouldn't let anybody ask me anything else about it.
It's what Pat Mahomes should say. Cut off that deadbeat.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. But he can't, because that's not an estrangement thing.
I know.
That's his daddy, and he's got to be the sugar daddy of his daddy.
Ugh. All right, 152, Whole World News next, and then Steve Bartle will join us at 2:05 right here on The Zone.
Go! It's time to span the globe for the hard-hitting news you care about. Well, not really. But hey, at least we found it interesting. This is Whole World News on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We've got the whole world in our hands.
You got the whole world.
I'm not a fan of this one. I don't know why these just gross me out.
Have you ever even heard of a cryptic pregnancy?
Yeah, I think it happens actually quite a bit.
Have you heard of this, Lloyd? Cryptic pregnancy?
No.
So a woman will get pregnant. She'll continue to menstruate. She doesn't have signs and symptoms like the morning sickness. Her body doesn't build out a bulb. It's just the baby gestates and builds inside the body, and you don't even know you're pregnant. And this
Until you go to the restroom?
It's exactly what happened.
What happened? So Helen and Michael Green, they're both 45 years old.
Oh, getting up there too.
Yeah, they're both 45 years old. They're on vacation in Toronto, Canada. So they're in another country. And they're out there with their other kids. They got 2 other kids. This happened back May 21st. And it was 11 o'clock at night. And she felt like her stomach didn't feel right. So she went into what they call the loo, because they're from, I think they're from England, if I remember right. So she goes in to use the loo at the Holiday Inn Motel, and she has the baby. She said that, and I quote, she said, "I had the urge to push. I had no idea what was happening. My body just took over at that point. After 2 massive pushes, there was a baby. So I picked her out of the loo, and I held her in my arms."
How's that baby?
She, in 2 pushes, pushed out this baby and picked it out of the loo and put it in her arms. And it was a little bouncing bundle of joy that they've now named. I think they named her Megan after one of the nurses that showed up. So after the baby came out, they called the paramedics. Paramedics showed up. They're like, "Well, why didn't you get to a hospital?" She said, "I had no idea I was pregnant." "How did you know I know you're pregnant?" There were no signs.
So I stepped out for a sec. She didn't notice any
No
bump whatsoever.
No bump.
No bump. Nope. And it's a perfectly healthy baby. But I got to tell you, it's crazy. So they actually did a cost breakdown. It ended up costing them $12,200. Because, they're in a foreign country.
Yeah.
They're on vacation.
Those kids, man, they always find a way to get you.
They made an emergency room run. They had $2,700 more in hotel rooms, $1,400 more for the car.
Holiday
and
Inn,
they had to
up.
pay for an extra seat on the flight.
They had to pay
sure,
for an
yeah.
extra
Yeah,
seat,
yeah.
and they had to repurchase their flights. They ended up staying a month longer to give the baby time to stabilize so they could fly the baby.
Well, I mean, stuck in the loo for crying out loud.
So they had to buy, I'm sure there was some maintenance run there. So they had to buy a pack and play and a car seat, because they're in a foreign country. So
Yeah.
there was expenditures, $12,200.
Did Scotty say, "Oh, I've been to the Louvre"?
Yeah.
Did he say it? Did he throw that in your face?
They'll lose a bathroom.
Yeah.
No, Lou. Oh, I thought you said the Louvre.
You've been to the loo, too.
Yeah, I have.
In fact, that's probably where
I
you
thought
were
you were
at.
talking about the museum.
Yeah, she pulled her baby out of a museum that houses one of the most famous paintings known to man.
Interesting story. That would have made the story way better.
Maybe.
So you had your baby right next to the Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It's crazy. They charged me $12,200 for it.
That's a pro bowling moment,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Fine.
Mark it.
All right. Jake, Nate hanging out with us.
Lloyd, I'm with you. I thought the same thing.
Okay.
You're not alone. You're not alone, all right?
There we go. I was like, okay.
Oh, that's actually really funny.
The Louvre in Paris gets mixed up with a Holiday Inn in Toronto all the
A
time.
Holiday Inn toilet. All the time.
I thought they named the baby Mona. But all right.
97.5, the EKSL Sports Zone.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We spent a lot of time talking about Devon Dampier and this Utah offense. So let's continue to break it down with the guy who covers the Utes better than anybody else. It's Steve Bartle, KSLSports.com, Ute Insider. Steve, how the heck are you?
Hey, Steve.
Man, getting more and more excited. We got college football this weekend, and then, it's game week on Monday. I'm so excited.
Would you rather Utah open up against a Big Sky team like they usually do, or do you like playing a team like UCLA right out of the gate?
I personally enjoy watching these matchups against the UCLA and Florida and those types of matchups. I just think they're a great way to start the season, right? Obviously, Utah, UCLA, it's going to be Fox. It's going to be on national television. And, Florida had a lot of eyeballs on it, a lot of conversation around it. And I think it generates a lot of excitement. Now, I think also what we learned with that Florida game is that it lengthens the schedule quite a bit and puts a heavy toll in terms of the physical demand on these players, because you got to be ready to go from from week one. And even then, it kind of increases the intensity in fall camp. And so I just think I think there's a balance to it. But I personally love these types of matchups, these big game matchups, to get the eyeballs on the program. And because, we're going to learn quite a bit about Utah this year in the very first week. I think it's a lot of fun.
So, Steve, I know that accessibility goes up and down, and it's been all over the place over the years. Ability to know a team and get to see camp and understand what's going on. In years past, just related to years past, has this been less, more? Have they been more cryptic? How tough has it been to get the information to even deliver to Utah fans?
Yeah, it's definitely been scaled back. I was going through, old logs and stuff, old notes and stuff. And, it wasn't too long ago that we were watching a 20-minute practice in fall camp. But obviously understanding, Coach Whittingham and having a new offense and having a new OC and a new basically entire offensive unit. You understand kind of the wanting to keep the walls up and that. So, I understand it. And, I wish that we could get to the point where, it's uniform across the conference. I reached out to a handful of other media members in other markets, and, it's interesting to hear kind of the different ways that, access is granted. Like, Arizona State, they provide media members an hour where you can watch practice. Arizona, apparently they can film practice. They just can't write about practice, which is interesting. And others are a little bit more locked down and that. So obviously it's a balance, and we understand, in situations like this, why that is. And so, this year it's definitely been scaled back, and they've been even a little bit more cryptic in terms of what they share in their media availabilities. But I think, it adds to the intrigue of week one, that's for sure.
So we talked about reasonable expectations for Devon Dampier, assuming he's healthy, plays a full schedule. What do you think are, in terms of yards, in terms of touchdowns, in terms of rushing yards, what are you thinking for him?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, right? Because this is going to be, an increased level of competition on a week-in, week-out basis. And there is an adjustment. And Devon Dampier even acknowledged the difference coming from New Mexico to Utah in practice, how different it was and how much more difficult it was adjusting to the speed and adjusting to the size, at this level. So there is that adjustment. And obviously it's, from all accounts, it sounds like he's acclimated to the speed and size of all of that in practice, but it's a totally different ball game when things are live and you're playing a different color jersey. So, there is going to be, an acclimation to this level in game, and it'll be interesting to see how long and where he's at in his game. But I do think him having the year under his belt, under Jason Beck, and in this offense gives him, an advantage that hasn't been common in quarterback transfers in years past, where Utah's brought in a Charlie Brewer and a Jake Bentley to be guys that they count on, but they had to come in and learn an entirely new system. Dampier doesn't have to do that, and I think for him that will allow him to adjust to this level quicker. Again, there's still going to be an adjustment in action, but I think having that comfort, having that knowledge of the playbook, I think will help him and his processing and how he goes all about that. So, getting to what to expect of Dampier this season, I'm not expecting 19 rushing touchdowns. I'm not expecting 1,100 rushing yards, but I think Dampier can be just as effective with his legs. I think he can, that's going to be the key is, limiting sort of the every down usage that he was used in that manner at New Mexico, because he had to be that guy. I think scaling that back and allowing him to, create more, hopefully explosive plays and capitalizing on those types of moments, becoming more efficient in that sense. So, in terms of what he's going to look like, what he's going to produce, I'm sort of looking at 2,500 yards, 700 yards on the ground, and I think that touchdown interception ratio, given what Utah should have around him and the playmakers around him, I think that number should improve. That ratio should improve this year as well, especially given the fact that he is going into year two now under Beck, and Beck having a better idea of what his strengths and weaknesses are. So I still think Dampier is going to be the key. He's going to be the engine. He is the single biggest factor to Utah's improved outlook this year, and Utah has to do all that they can to keep him healthy this season, because if they do, I think he's going to have a significant impact, in the win column for the Utes.
Have you been able to get any information together on Smith Snowden's usage offensively, or maybe Lander Barton's usage offensively after that was mentioned?
Yeah, it sounds like they've gotten work, and what that looks like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that, but it sounds like they've gotten work, and I think it'll be interesting to see how they're deployed. And, they're not going to be counted on to play heavy reps, on the offensive side of the ball. And I think with Smith, obviously the priority is maintaining him and in that defensive secondary and his level of play there. You don't want to lose that sort of luxury because, strong cornerback play, it's hard to find, especially a star like him in that role. So I think that'll be interesting. But it sounds like coaches have really kind of enjoyed seeing their development on the offensive side of the ball. Morgan Scalley joked that he hated seeing him on that side and that he talks trash to him on that side of the ball. But again, at the end of the day, it's all about helping the team as much as you can, and that's what Lannon and Smith are going to do this season for Utah.
Steve Bartle, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Are you surprised that Kyle, who is very, very calculated on what he says and very secretive, in fact, he's not even releasing a depth chart, but has been so outspoken that you've got some defensive guys playing on offense?
No, I mean, when he first revealed that Lander and Smith were going to play offense, it definitely was a bit of a surprise because he is, so guarded. And even, this offseason, he's even more so in terms of, his interactions with the media and that. So to reveal that, I think is probably telling of, how serious they are about it, perhaps. So, it's interesting. I think when you have a player like Lander Barton and Smith Snowden, two guys that, have star potential on the defensive side of the ball, you get their name out there like that, even talking about potential usage on offense, and it attracts more attention and more eyeballs on them. And I think that's going to be the key, for them and their potential outlook this year. I shouldn't say the key, but, a nice contributing factor in getting more eyeballs on them and maximizing their ability. These are really talented players, Lander and Smith, just the athleticism that they have. Again, Morgan said it best that, when you can impact the game in as many ways as possible and help the team win, that's all that matters. And I think that's, with Witt and revealing that, I think that's sort of the goal, is getting, that out there and allowing that to sort of, allow us to that message to settle in with us, because I do think they're going to be used on offense. Maybe not a whole lot, but I think they're going to have an impact. And I think it is rather interesting that Whittingham decided to reveal that.
What is the gamesmanship behind no depth chart?
Well, if you don't have to do something, why do it? That's always been Witt's MO, right? It's like we are now getting, injury reports and so, we, for those of us that are paying attention in these games and are tracking stuff as closely as we are, we have an idea of who's going to play and who's going to be in which spots and all that sort of stuff. And so, I think I would be surprised if Witt isn't the only one that isn't going to be revealing a depth chart this season. And so, we'll see what it all looks like this year with the injury report. It was interesting seeing the one announced last night by ESPN with Iowa State and Kansas State. It, again, was another thing that sort of just another step closer to the season type of thing, where you're seeing injury reports now with games that are just a couple days away. And so, Whittingham will certainly abide by the injury report and what they're required to report. And as we saw last night with the injury report, you've got to clarify who's going to be available, who's not, who's questionable, and that sort of stuff. And I think, and so that's sort of, Witt being Witt, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, if he's possibly going to get a competitive advantage, he's certainly going to work towards it. There's no doubt. All right. So do you feel, I mean, obviously you're not going to get a depth chart, but do you feel like there's going to be any surprises, or do you have a pretty good vibe as to what you're going to see out of your starters and your two deep?
Yeah, I feel like, me personally, for as close as I pay attention to stuff, I feel like I have a good grasp of things. But even, I admit, I fully expect there to be, a surprise or two at the very least, because, there usually is. And even when we get a depth chart, there's usually surprises. And you go back to last year and you look at the depth chart from last season, and you could probably find Cam Rising on the depth chart in week 5 when he wasn't playing. And so, how valuable are depth charts? They give us a snapshot at what the program was thinking or what they might be thinking on a week-to-week basis. But, everything matters, once kickoff. Once we get to kickoff and we get to, the action and the players ultimately decide the game, obviously. So, it'll be interesting on that front to see who plays a lot against UCLA, to get a feel for, the players that Coach Beck has identified as the guys that he trusts. We know, we have a good idea of, the guys and who the guys are going to be on the defensive side because of, what they return and what's been shared in terms of, certain spots at, like cornerback and defensive end. We have a pretty good idea of who's stepped up in those spots. But the UCLA game, we're really going to learn a lot about the offensive side of the ball and sort of the hierarchy, at the skill positions, who Beck trusts the most in the passing game and all that. It's going to be really revealing against the Bruins next Saturday.
Who do you think gets that other bookend spot at D end?
Yeah, we've talked about that, Scotty. I think, that's a pretty competitive situation with Utah. I think Whittingham shared that they've got 5 guys that they're going to rotate this year, and I buy that completely. Like, I fully believe that we'll see a pretty consistent rotation of 5 guys. I think it's going to be Cash Dillon. I think he's had a great offseason, and I think he's continued to trend positively in fall camp. I had the opportunity to talk to him actually last week, and he talked about the competition that they face on a day-to-day basis against Lomu and Fano and that offensive line, and they feel as prepared as any defensive line to start going against some other colored jerseys. Because they just feel like the iron has sharpened iron and they're ready to get after it. So, yeah, I sort of look at Cash Dillon to be the guy to emerge at least at some point this season. But I think, all 3 other guys, Paul Fitzgerald, Lance Holtzclaw, and John Henry Daly, all have a case at the starting job as well.
You can read him on KSLSports.com, and you got the daily video cast, right?
Yeah, we've got the daily podcast going, the Utah Blockcast. Mitch is doing Cougar Tracks, and that's been a lot of fun to provide that daily content. It's something where we can even go live like you guys and have that interaction with the fans who tune in, and so it's been a lot of fun, and that's going to be even more fun as we get into the season and we get games to break down and the conversations change week to week. Right now, it's kind of like, we're regurgitating the same topics in so many different ways. But I think, once we get into the season, those Cougar Tracks and the Utah Blockcast, those are 2 things that are really going to take off, and we're going to have a lot of fun this season for sure.
Love it. Steve, appreciate all you do, man. Great stuff.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Steve Bartle. Steve. He is your Ute insider for KSLSports.com. Now a daily podcast on KSLSports.com. You need your Ute fix on a daily? Guess what? Steve Bartle's got it. Same with Mitch Harper and BYU.
Closing in on things, it's great to kind of brush up on some of the final news and notes. And, like you said, Kyle's going to do things his way. If Kyle can find a way to make it more difficult for others, then he'll do it, as long as it gives him an advantage. And I'll never discredit a guy as long as they're winning.
Yeah. Until it affects me as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
Then I get upset.
Then I'm not okay with it.
Because I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that Bronco's going to find out about it. And he's like, well, I could do that too. Come on.
I wouldn't.
Don't do it. It's a
him.
Total Bronco thing. I could totally see Bronco doing that.
Oh, no depth charts? We don't have to ever release the depth chart? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that anyways?
All right. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, we'll spin the wheel, little sports roulette straight ahead. as we continue on getting you ready for the start of the college football season. Man, if you had to pick right now, Iowa State, Kansas State, you going Iowa State?
No. No, I'm going to go Kansas State.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kansas State probably finds a way through this. I know you lose DJ Giddens, but I do think that they've got one of the better dual-threat quarterbacks. I just think it's a toss-up, like who deals with the travel better, who deals with the distractions better. You know, I think that these are two very common teams, but I'm going to give the edge to Kansas State.
Well, our guy Matt Wells is there calling plays, so I'll lean Kansas State for sure. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Is loaded, and it's time to talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette with Hans and Scotty on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. My guy's doing a water fast.
Yeah, it's fun. I like water. It's great.
Isn't that what you've always said? I love water.
Boy, that's good. Refreshing.
Oh, man.
What's your favorite part about water?
Oh, just it being room temperature and tasting like metal.
Oh, man.
I hate water.
I do, too. Like, can you put like a little, like, I don't know, like a Crystal Light packet in there or something?
I don't know. The only thing that could save me is Culligan. I need Culligan to, like, install their water in my house, but then with soda in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want a water dispenser. I want a Coke Zero service.
I want a Culligan Coke Zero service. Because the only water I can stomach is Culligan. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had it installed in my place.
It's the only water. And I wish I could buy like a Culligan brand bottled, like these bottled waters that I've got.
Yeah.
But they're just not, I just haven't found them. But the Culligan water's so good.
Oh, I mean, that's the thing. I'm probably taking the next step and having them just do the whole filtration process at the house.
Are you going to?
I'm thinking about it, yeah. I know they're coming in I think it's next week they're coming in studio with us.
Let's talk to them about it. I'd love to see what they could do. Because having your whole house dish out Culligan water, then you could just sit in the shower with it, like on cola with your mouth open. That would be so nice.
I got my gallon in. How'd you do it? Just some shower water.
Stood in front of my shower with my mouth open.
Yeah.
Oh, Lloyd. Okay, Lloyd's dishing out a true lemon insert. Strawberry lemonade. Is this a 0 calorie?
Oh, yeah.
Additive?
Yeah. But, you know, that stuff's got stuff that'll kill you, too. It's like everybody's got stuff that's going to kill you.
Everything. But then you get these people that drink 4 beers and smoke a cigar every night.
And they're living till...
How long did George Burns live?
Oh, man, that dude was well into his 90s.
Did he make it to 100? He might have made it to 100.
I don't know. You saw the, what's her name? She was with that college basketball team that made the run. Was it Loyola? Sister Jean or whatever her name is?
Sister Jean.
She's 106 today. She just turned 106.
Hey, didn't she say that one of her pieces of advice was daily alcohol?
Heavy alcohol use. No, I think so. I think she's like a glass of wine or something.
Yeah.
And a smoke a day. A smoke a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you need to be going with right now.
Smoke a day.
Smoke them if you got them.
Sister Carol.
All right. Lloyd, fire up that wheel.
Miles per hour, Garrett.
Did you see? Did we even cover him going 100 miles per hour?
No, which we should because everybody seems like they're doing that right now.
So I guess last week he got pulled over. He was going 100 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone.
That's not great.
On I-71 in Ohio, and got pulled over, got some massive ticket. The Cleveland market's different. It's just funny hearing different markets handle athletes a different way. Like, try to picture anybody here in the state of Utah asking Lowry Markkinen these types of questions with this type of angle. But here's the media in Cleveland talking to Myles Garrett about this 100-mile-per-hour situation.
Myles, we have not talked to you since your last speeding incident. What is it like to be in that car and seeing that speedometer creep up toward 100, like 100 miles per hour?
I'd honestly rather talk about football on this team than anything I'm doing off field, other than the back to school, event that I did the other day.
But still, I mean, people want to know about that.
People want to know a lot of things, but I try to keep my personal life personal, and I'd rather focus on this team when I can.
So, you're not willing to say if you learned anything from that incident or vow not to do it again or anything like that? Are you willing to
I'd rather talk about something that's more, focused on this team and what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish.
Myles, I'm sorry, but this is important. So you talk about being a leader. So what kind of a leadership does that show when you get pulled over by the cops?
Again, you're asking the same question, and I've answered it 2 different times. So I'm gonna need you to ask a different question so I can focus on this team and not this headline you're trying to get out of this question you're asking.
Yeah. All right.
What's it like watching the needle creep up on the speedometer to 100 miles per hour?
So does it make you nervous when the car starts to rattle a little bit?
I like how he started with, Myles, we haven't had a chance to talk about your latest speeding incident. And Myles is like, why don't we talk about that kids' charity thing?
I want to talk about the stuff that puts me in a good light. I don't want to talk about the stuff that puts me in a bad light. Why can't you guys figure that out? I only want to talk about the good stuff.
Myles, can we talk about your traffic violations? No, I try to keep my personal life personal. Yeah, but that's illegal. Yeah. So you just made your personal life criminal. So when your personal life becomes criminal, that becomes a story for us. So tell us, what's it like having the speedometer needle climb up to 100?
So when you're like at 95 and you're like just a little bit more, what's that feeling like when you see that thing just finally get over that red line?
Can you even see a 60-mile-per-hour sign that says it's 60 mile per hour when you're going 100 miles per hour? Like, do you see it, or does it just pass too fast?
Is it just blurry?
Is it just blurry to you? Like, did you even know that it's 60 miles because you were doing 100? I'm telling you, Scotty, I kind of wish that we could do this with athletes.
Yeah.
Just get in there and be like, all right, so tell me, did it hurt your hand when you punched the guy in the bar? Did you break any of your own fingers as you were jabbing him in the eye? Did he slobber on your arm? We just soft shoes things so much here in this state because we love our athletes.
Yeah.
We do love our athletes. And it's not like I'm against it. I'm not against it because I get it, man. We all make mistakes. And as an athlete, you're like, all right, I don't want to talk about my 100 mile per hour. I'm here in camp. And we're the Cleveland Browns. Life already sucks enough for me. I don't want to talk about dumb things I did.
God, look, it was 100 miles an hour I was driving getting out of Cleveland. That's how much I'd like leaving this city.
Sorry, sir. Did you notice what direction I was going on 71?
Yeah, I was leaving the city. Anyway. All right, spin it.
Update.
We got a quick update on the Victor Robles bat throwing.
Yeah.
You want to take a guess on how many games?
6 games.
Close. 10.
Oh, really? You got 10? Double digit.
For those of you that didn't see it, Seattle Mariners outfielder Victor Robles was relegated down to the minors on a rehab. And somebody actually sent me the video. He got pitched at a couple times. What was it, 5 times?
Yeah, I think it was a few times.
Yeah, they were going after him.
And the last one hurt. So as he gets hit the last time, it was kind of up high. He took his bat and chucked it at the pitcher. You just don't see many bats get thrown at the pitcher.
But now, shouldn't the pitcher also get a couple games?
Yeah.
Like he instigated the whole thing.
He did, and because there are so many instances of Victor being hit, he probably should.
Yeah.
You can explain away one wild pitch. 2, it's tough. 3, it's getting real tough. 4, it's nearly impossible.
I got to imagine, Lloyd, when you as much as you badmouth other people, I got to imagine you had some pitches come your way.
Oh, that's not true. That's just like badmouth people. What are you talking about?
I could just see you being a little bit of a smack talker out there on the diamond.
Oh, I could too. Have you seen the video of the kid coming off the mound? His the kid's mouthing.
The guy with glasses?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see Lloyd being that.
No.
Walking off the mound or walking off the plate, flipping bats at pitchers after he knocks one out of the park.
Scotty would have been a great catcher because you know what the symbol is for to bean the guy, right?
Oh, yeah, just the middle finger?
Oh, is that?
No kidding.
That's the symbol. That's the universal symbol.
After Scotty and I saw you trash talk those old sweet boys in the backyard as you hit a dinger off of one of Xavier's pitch and you flipped the bat at him and pointed him down as you were headed to what was it, like a box of mac and cheese for first plate, and you're pointing at him. We know.
And he's throwing his hat down.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he's burying his hat and kicking it across the yard.
I did watch it leave. Yes, I did.
You stared it.
I stared it for a while.
Yeah.
And then I give a nice little slow jog.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite videos.
You took some time rounding those bases, man.
By the way, that's such classic Americana. A good dad in the backyard with his sons, and the sons dressed up in their favorite baseball gear and ball going out of. It all was going great until Dad rubbed it in
the cult classic. It happens every July 4th.
Yeah, we didn't get the invite. Let me come. You let me take a shot or two at the plate.
You want to come take some swings, some cuts? Come on, come take some cuts.
Ball. Even if it's a wiffle ball.
Because you know Lloyd's going high and tight on you.
Yeah, he's going to brush me.
Yeah.
For sure. Then I'm going to have to go Victor Robles on him.
And throw a bat.
Now, that would be some great footage.
I'll forget that a backyard pitching mound is only 10 feet away from the batter. And I'm chuck the bat. You're like, you were supposed to move. Why did you move?
All right, we'll wrap up the show next. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, wrapping up another edition of the show. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, sad news coming out of Cincinnati as your former teammate, Edgerrin James, his son, Jizzle James, has been dismissed from the team.
From
the Cincinnati
the
basketball team, yeah. Was viewed as one of the league's top returning players after big performances last year. But, quote, Jizzle James has been dealing with some personal issues throughout the summer. We removed him from the team last month. He is currently not a member of our basketball program. As this is a personal matter, I will have no further comment at this time.
That actually kind of makes me sad. I hope he's okay.
Yeah. Not sure what's going on there, but
he was good, wasn't he?
He was really good, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing the name a few times and then talking about Edgerrin a little bit, and I was really happy for him and proud of him. You know, I now, just as a dad of kids that have moved on and played college sports or they're starting to achieve, I just have so much more empathy for parents that go through hard things with their kids.
Yeah.
And getting that call, and it's like, hey, Dad, I got to come home. Cincinnati's letting me go. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
It doesn't give any details, though.
Nope.
That doesn't say he broke team rules or?
Dismissed for the team.
Do you think that it was It's not performance-based?
No. Definitely not performance-based. Guy's a heck of a player.
Yeah, that's tough.
I just wonder, at what point when you're looking at your child in the nursery and they're like, what names are you going to go with? And you're like, Jizzle. That's the name right there. He looks like a Jizzle.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Jizzle's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if you're in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
When you're naming that baby.
I mean, you want to set your kids up for success, right? And that's you're thinking, okay, what's that name going to look like on a business card? You know what looks good? Jizzle.
Jizzle. All right, man, let's go. Jizzle James. It rhymes, too.
Yeah. All right. Nate, Jake joining us.
No. You cut the break.
I don't know, man.
How are you going to do this one? Huh?
You try to give your kids the best base. I'm sitting there like, what am I going to name my son? Oh, something solid, strong. Rock would be good. Like,
there you go.
Yeah.
It's a solid, strong name. I just couldn't imagine like being like, oh man, how about Jizzle? Man, Amanda would shut down that. She'd shut that down so fast.
You get hit with the right hook so fast.
We're not naming our son Jizzle.
Come on.
Okay, this is the honest truth, and Amanda will verify this. The honest truth. I wanted to name our first son Jamiroquai because I love Jamiroquai, the singer. It's one of my favorite songs. So I'm like, yeah, baby, we're naming our first Jamiroquai. It's either Jamiroquai or Titan. She's like, we're not doing either.
Like, or Titan.
Titan.
I was either Jamiroquai or Titan, so we settled on Rock.
How do you spell Jamiroquai?
Well, there's
See what happened was.
Let's not get caught up in the weeds here.
Jamiroquai.
Come to mama, baby. Come on.
What is that? Come to mama, little Jamiroquai. Dude, I love that. What was it, Virtual Insanity? Do you remember his song?
Yeah.
Man, I love that song. But anyway.
All right.
Come to mama, baby, Jamiroquai.
Nate, I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Advanced Windows, 801-850-9100. Call Jamiroquai right now.
Call Jamiroquai for some windows, baby. Come on. AKA Rob.
Rob.
Or Rob.
Yeah. Is this Jamiroquai? Well, no, it's Rob. Same thing.
Yeah.
Rob is his nickname.
801-850-9100. Rob is going to come out to your house, give you a bid, financing options. You're going to know all that on the spot, and you're going to get the best windows on the planet, and they're all manufactured right here in Utah.
Yep, we got lifetime warranty backing that, and so if anything ever comes up down the road, as Nate always says, we sell peace of mind.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a high-quality product that we're going to be behind you. So if anything comes up, you call us, and we'll be there to service it, take care of it. It's the last time you'll need to buy windows.
Ooh,
that's what I love about this.
That's a good thought there. You're not going to have to go through this again.
And remember it too, the forever warranty or the lifetime warranty on these windows, it is transferable too, right? Yeah. So if you're putting in new windows to sell the house, a really good sales point is new windows, here's a transferred lifetime warranty on them. And you guys, it was funny, one of the times we were talking, some lady had put advanced windows in her home back in the late 90s, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And you guys were replacing.
That was like right when we first came in.
Yeah, that was one of my first services I went out to, and yeah, it was from 1992. And she getting a little older, but she couldn't slide the windows the way she used to. I was like, we'll take care of it.
We got it.
Take care of it.
Man. Nate, by the way, people could totally take advantage of Nate. Like, just call him, say, can I have Nate come out and look at these windows?
And can he bring Jamiroquai with him?
Can I have Nate come out? And then when Nate gets there, be like, yeah, so we did install these the year you started up.
Yeah.
We were the first install of advanced windows.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, 1986.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't be that successful if you're not taking care of customers.
Yeah, there's a reason we've been around as long as we've been around.
801-850-9100. Call right now. Advanced Windows, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Come to mama, baby. Come on. Ma, you've been bad.